NHS perspective. And just to remind us of why I'm here and the question asked, which is how can we travel where we need to in Oxford in a way that is good for health and climate. So health is quite a sort of big part of the discussion. And why is the NHS part of the expert witness? Well, NHS has adopted something called net zero. We heard net zero is basically about carbon, about reducing the carbon footprint of NHS. So that's been adopted in 2021, net zero for the NHS, with an expectation by 2040 the NHS will be net zero carbon. That's emissions from estates, electricity supplies, medicine supplies, all the things that contribute to carbon. But also, what's very interesting in the net zero, the indirect impact, of travel isn't included. But you think, well, why is it not included? Well, that's a bit strange, especially since NHS is a health provider. Well, it's excluded because it's indirect, because it feels as though that would be much more of a partnership as opposed to directly related to NHS. So yes, we're interested in that, but much more in partnership about the indirect aspects of travel. So that was a net zero which came in 2021. What's actually very interesting this year is the Health and Care Act, which is a bill that's gone through Parliament that was recently enacted about 2 months ago. And the Health and Care Act is really, really interesting for the NHS England for providers. What it talks to is 4 major areas of delivery, or 4 pillars for the health service in this country. First one is that we need to be looking at population health outcomes. Not you go to hospital and getting individual care, but how does an organisation, how does a health organisation such as mine, Oxford Health, delivering for population health, for the whole population, not just individuals. So that, you can see that means quite significant because the population health isn't something we've been marking ourselves on. So the second area of this new act is in 4 pillars. The second pillar is health inequality. What was noted in the last 2 decades is health inequality has increased. So those who have the best health and who has least health, that gap has increased. That gap, by increasing health inequality, leads to increased health demands on NHS facilities. So that health inequality increase, we need to be looking at reducing that health inequality gap. And that is by increasing access for people to be able to access health care very early in the stage of their illness in terms of prevention. The third area of the pillars is productivity, and that's around how staff can see as much as possible, can treat, but also reduce that on a cost base. So increase the productivity, increase outcomes, but actually reduce costs, or having the cost the same, but actually increasing outcomes. So that's productivity. And the fourth pillar of the NHS Act, which is passed this year, is that we need to have, as an organisation, have a measurement of our social, economic development impact. I'll unpick that. What it means is that an NHS organisation such as ours, with 7,000 staff, those staff are part of the communities where they live. They are an anchor institution. We are an anchor institution. What that means is that we're part of the community. We can't separate ourselves. When I come into work, it doesn't mean that I'm no longer part of the community. So how does the NHS have a social, economic development impact on wherever we work? So that's Health and Social Care Act. And then I'll come on to the aspect of us in Oxford City and Oxford, us as an organisation in Oxford City. We provide within the county non-community hospitals, but we also provide all the district nurses, the people who come to your homes and deliver care into your home, not the hospital over here, but the community services. And to give a context to that, in the last couple of years, due to COVID, there's more and more care that's being delivered into people's homes. More and more care is being delivered outside of big hospital settings. So community hospitals, community pharmacies in your own home, using remote support. So it's something that's called virtual wards or where people are given health monitors, so they're at home, get called up by their team, and they're given support. So I'm almost finished, because I know what's out of a really short space of time. It is quite incredible what net zero is trying to do, but I find it personally really boring. I don't really understand what a ton of carbon is. But what I do find important is when I know there's pollutions and there's toxins coming into my body, poisoning me and reducing my lifespan. That's much more interesting to me. So that's where health comes in. And as Oxford Health, where I'm the executive member of the board who's leading on sustainability and environmental impact, I'm very, very committed to green and blue spaces, as well as a way of us providing services which has the least impact on air pollution. The reason why air pollution is so important, if we look at the WHO figures most recently, COVID has led to death of about 4 to 5 million people in the last couple of years worldwide. 4 to 5 million people in the last couple of years worldwide. Every year, air pollution leads to 7 million premature deaths per year in the world. Okay, we're part of a country, we're part of a county, and we're part of a community. We can have an impact in that. And I find it much more interesting in actually engaging people from a bottom-up approach to make a difference, to think about as a professional psychiatrist, as a psychiatrist by profession, nature-based therapy has an impact. We haven't been measuring it, but the idea of walking, seeing green and blue spaces has a massive impact on our health and especially our mental well-being. That's all.
Great, thank you, Karl.